Hi, I've been waiting for you. In this video, we have three major facts that we want to cover. The first fact is that you need this book. This is the 1858 Great Controversy, which is volume 1 of Spiritual Gifts. You got to get that. The second item that you need to get is called The Present Truth. This is a precursor to the Advent Review and Sabbath Herald. It was published by James White, and he published 11 numbers before they changed the name to the Advent Review. Now, this has, in number 11, a very important vision that was published by, for the first time in that number 11. A very important vision that Ellen had, which details some critically important information, probably the most profound piece of information that, one of the top pieces anyway, that you can get. Now, again, this is Present Truth, number 11, page 86, and we're going to cover that in just a second. Now, the other critically important fact is that there are two testimonies that mention the first rise of the Advent message. And this implies a second rise at the very least. And that's why I call this the second rise of the Advent message. I believe that we are on the cusp of this second rise of this Advent message. And so the first reference is Testimonies number 1, page 4, and the second one is Testimonies number 23, page 8. Now, there are links in the description of where to get your other, where to download your testimonies. They are on a place called the Adventist Digital Library. I highly recommend that you move and take action on these things and get those downloaded as soon as possible, because you never know when this material disappears. Satan is alive and active, and he would like to kill us all. Never mind destroying evidence along the way. Thankfully, God has preserved all of that. Now, there are 4 other places that speak of the rise of this message, which is inferring the first rise of this message. And then there are 14 other references in the testimonies that refer to the second rise of this message, or could be understood to be that way. So that's something we'll get into later. All those references are in the description and below the video here. And then in the 1858 Great Controversy, it says this on page 194. It says, the work of this angel. Now, this would be the angel of Revelation 18. A lot of people call this the fourth angel. That is an incorrect statement, as we will see later. Nevertheless, the work of this angel comes in at the right time and joins in the last great work of the third angel's message as it swells into a loud cry. Now, this is critically important language. God is trying to communicate to something to us if we will listen. And this is very important. That's the importance of this 1858 Great Controversy, Spiritual Gifts, Volume 1. I really suggest you take action on that as soon as you can. So in the first place, in the first phrase here, it says, the work of this angel comes in at the right time. Now, this is also understood that this angel gives power and force to the third angel's message as it swells into a loud cry. So this angel is giving that force to the loud cry. interestingly, it's very specific that the work of this angel comes in at the right time. We're going to reference this later, and it's very important that you understand this. So if you get a bee sting, it doesn't instantly swell. It takes a little bit of time. And the same thing is true of the second rise of this message. This message starts out, I've been away from the Advent church, Seventh-day Adventist church. I left that church about 10 years ago. No, this is 19, so about 14 years ago. And it takes time for these things to be understood. It takes time. And that's what we're talking about, is a climbing, a swelling that takes time as it swells into a loud cry, it says. And so that's very, very important to understand. And as mentioned earlier, I do believe that we are on the cusp of this. There are so many schisms and everything out there that people are getting tired of this, and they understand that things are becoming more and more and more intense in the world, and something is going to have to give. However, we have also been told that it's got to be a time of peace for the third angel's message to do its work. And that's, of course, the loud cry. This thing has to happen in a time of peace, or God's people won't be able to run around and deliver that message without being persecuted and without being killed and so forth. So what is this Advent faith? We mentioned the Advent faith quite a bit, but this is dealing with the pioneers. My book came loose, and this page is out, and this is page 86 of Present Truth number 11, and right down here in this corner, there's a little tiny hand pointing right here to this paragraph, and this tells us that the pioneers, the true pioneers is what I call them, the ones that have been in all the messages. That means they were giving the first angel's message, the second angel's message, the midnight cry, and now they're involved in the third angel's message. Only those men are the ones who set present truth for today, for God's people, all the way to the city, along that narrow path, that straight and narrow path. Now, this is very critical to understand. That is the great importance of this message and the material that I just shared with you from Present Truth number 11, page 86. That's very critically important to understand. So, in addition to that, we speak about the testimonies and using the authentic testimonies. It's very important that you get to the link below. There's a place called the Adventist Digital Library, and that link is set up with, it brings up all the testimonies, and you need to download testimonies 1 to 30, because the testimonies, the spirit of prophecy, has been counterfeited. This is a photocopy of the Lonely Years, which is part of the biography written by Arthur White. That's the Lonely Years. It's volume 3, and you can find it anywhere. It's for free, and download it and check it out. You want to read page 217, 218, and 219. It details how that Willie White and his wife and his secretary came in and started rewriting everything that was called the Spirit of Prophecy immediately after James White died. And you'll be astonished at the things written there. And it's very important that you read that so that you understand this is not something I made up. I didn't write that stuff. And just read it and decide for yourself. Maybe you think it's okay what they did. Now, a lot of people say, well, they say that Ellen approved of all this. Well, if she did approve of it, then something is wrong, because there are changes made in the language that is said. And we know that God does not change. God doesn't come down and change his Bible every 6 months or a year or even 50 years or 174 years. He just doesn't do it. Well, what's going on? Will he? They make that admission right in here. That's why you need to read those pages. They came in and changed everything because they felt the grammar needed to be changed. They needed to make corrections, and they needed to make more clear the meaning intended by Ellen. That's the exact language that's in there. And I encourage you to get that and read it. You need to arm yourself for the last battle, and this is where it takes place. I am a believer in the Advent message as presented and made clear by James White and the other pioneers that were in all the messages and are firm in all the present truth. God bless your study.